Hello, summoners. Welcome to another episode of FEHology, a study of Fire Emblem heroes. This is Howdy, and I will be your FEHologist today, along with Conquest. Conquest, you want to say hi?
Hello. Hi.
So we're super excited to be going over the duo units. So we're doing a duo unit tier list. And so we have a whole scoring rubric. We got a lot of content for you today, and we're excited to share it with you. So how are you doing today, Conquest?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be on here. What about you?
I am doing well. It's good to finally get this going. We've been talking about it for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. And so I'll just get right into it. We did a scoring rubric where we ranked the duo and harmonized heroes. So there's 4 tiers. There's the S tier, the A tier, the B tier, and the C tier. And it's based off of point system. So there's 4 points that you could get in total. And today we're going to be going over the B tier of the duo units. So these are units that scored 2 points. And these are all really great and really unique units. They're not like the most overpowered or like the most meta units, but they all are really great situationally. The first point in our rubric is the unit unique? So that's perf weapon, skills, specials, and stuff like that. You get 1 point for that. The second is the unit best in class of their movement and weapon type? So some units get a lot of points because there's not a lot of units like them. There's not a lot of units with the same weapon type and movement type. Whereas others, like Valentine's Alm, for instance, he's a axe infantry, so he ends up being in a very saturated class. The third part of a rubric, does the unit excel without the use of the duo skill / in the AI's hands? And this is the big application of this is in Aether Raid's defense, where you really need to run a duo hero or a harmonized hero in order to stop opponents from using these really busted duo skills against you. And the last point is, does the duo skill open up new strategies in the player's hands? That's just, if the duo skill is good, you get a point there. How does that rubric sound to you, Conquest? Any thoughts on that?
I think it sounds great. I think that this is the best way for us to compare duo units to each other, is by also comparing them to units who aren't a part of their class to see how they are faring against their competition.
Yeah, definitely. And the duo units are they're very fun. I mean, unless you're a whale, you don't have a +10 of these. Well, unless you save for Linja. um,
Mm-hmm.
they're really fun units.
Agreed.
Okay, so Conquest, you want to go over the 6 units today that we are going to be covering?
Yes. Today we'll be going over Valentine's Spring Idunn, the start of it all Palla, Pirate Veronica, Halloween Tiki, and Plegian Dorothea. So Valentine's Axe Infantry unit. He was the banner star of the 2020 Valentine's banner. He has a 35-40 offensive spread and has 32-25 defensive spread with a HP of 40, which is a pretty good stat line, especially for a 2020 infantry unit.
Right.
So his weapon is Scepter of Love, which it is an interesting weapon. Its condition is somewhat easy to have, especially when combined with his duo skill, and its main effects are somewhat of a combination of Legendary Alm and Legendary Celica, where it grants him a bonus to his attack equal to 25% of foes' defense and inflicts a penalty on foes' attack equal to 25% of their res, as long as his HP is higher than 70% of its maximum, or he has a bonus applied. He works pretty well with this weapon, especially since his duo skill heals 30 HP to him and all allies within 5 rows and columns.
Right.
It also grants him +6 to all visible stats and neutralizes penalties to all allies and himself within 5 rows and columns. So this duo skill is actually pretty solid, especially in a mode like Ether Raids, where debuffs are extremely prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to neutralize them is massive, and restoring health on command is also a pretty good way to use it.
Yeah.
But of course, there are some problems that arise with this. The main problem I can think of is the fact that the HP restored is a little bit too much. Because if you're running something like a Vantage set on somebody like Altina, and you use a Bolt Trap to purposely get her HP down low, and you use Alm's duo skill to, say, neutralize a Bright Shrine that hit her for some reason, then you'd also be healing her HP, which would get her out of Vantage range and possibly open up her getting nuked, which is a big problem.
Yeah. The dual skill, it's hard to see where you would be able to use it. I think it'd be a lot easier to use in Arena, where a lot of it's just enemy phase tanking. Whereas in Ether Raids, a lot of people run the duo's hindrance building, so it's hard to find a place for it there, in my opinion.
Another problem with Alm's duo skill is the fact that it gives him visible buffs, which is good for his weapon. But say that somebody's running Panic Manor, and boom, look at that, -6 to all stats of all of your allies that were hit by that, which is really painful.
Yeah. So what are the unit comparisons that you would make? Like, what are some other similar units that are similar to Alm?
Okay, so my first one is Deke, who is a somewhat fast axe infantry, who also has a respectable defensive spread and a great offensive spread. He was a 5-star in the Princess of Burn banner and came with a lot of good skills, like close defense 4, null follow-up, threat and attack defense, which made him a prime candidate for fodder, which is a reason why I can see that most people wouldn't have him. But another comparison to Alm would be Ninja Hana, who is a free-to-play unit released in the moment event, the Ninja Banner,
Right.
who has a very similar offensive spread and also has great defenses. She also has 180 natural BST with a super boon, which Alm would need his duo skill second effect to use. So, by virtue of being released later and also having more merges, Ninja Hana is really just a better choice unless you like Alm as a unit.
Right, yeah. I mean, Alm does come with that Lunar Flash, that perf special skill as well, which is nice, but not enough to put him higher on our tier list or anything like that.
Agreed.
Do you have Valentine's Alm?
I do not. I was not playing during the Valentine's event, and I think I missed his double special heroes as well, so I never got him.
Yeah, me neither. I think Husky has one, but he's not a hero that I see very often either. Any final thoughts on Valentine's Alm?
He's pretty solid for Arena, I'd say, if you're using a set that helps amplify his strengths. So, using his weapon, a Whale Rally, his special, using something like Distant Foil, Spurn, Joint Drive Speed, Attack Speed Solo, everything to help bolster his speed and also his defensive abilities would be very helpful for something like Arena, which I think is
Right.
where he thrives the best.
Yeah, you could make him work in Arena, but he's just really expensive, and you might as well just build Hannah.
Just build
Um,
Ninja Hana.
um,
That's all there is to it.
okay, well, let's move on to the next one. So this hero is Spring Idunn, And the recently released near and far save skills have really made armors much better than they used to be. So yeah, but Spring Idunn, she is a 185 BST Gen 4 Red Armored Dragon, so a pretty rare class type. She comes with Zephyr Breath, effective against armored foes. Really good weapon. Gives her some defense by debuffing the enemy's attack, neutralizes penalties, prevents follow-up attacks by the enemy. So really good perf breath, I would say. Her duo skill buffs her defense and res, and then she gets neutralizes effective against dragon bonuses and effective against armor bonuses. So that's really good if you can get it off. And yeah, she's got 184 BST, which is great. Well min-maxed, dumps speed. So yeah, she's a really definitely a strong unit, I would say.
Howdy, I have a question.
Yes.
How would you compare her to the other units that are similar to her? How would you say she compares to them?
Yeah, so the only other red armored dragon that comes to mind is Halloween Degentia. And I think that Degentia is a bit tankier, but he doesn't have all those special effects because he comes with an inheritable breath, which is a really good breath. Black fire breath, I believe. It's like the low.
Yes.
It's like the deck swabber breath. But
except I think it has the carrot cudgel type restriction where you have to be within 2 spaces of an ally.
Well, I think it's a solo actually.
It is?
Yeah.
I think I might be thinking of Pale Breath.
Yeah, that's the other comparison, the other red dragon that's recent, Halloween Enna. And like I'm sure Degentia is really good and he's really beefy, but I just never see him. But yeah, for her, the reason why she's in B tier, I said that she was the best in class, and that Zephyr Breath was a really good breath. I guess you could use her in Aetherite's defense now, with the whole far save thing.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
She also is a very good help against someone in Astra season, because in case a dragon unit is your carry, you can basically neutralize Thurseer.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like Idunn doesn't care about Thurseer anymore. With Dragon Wall and far save and all that stuff, like she can just stack so much bulk that like Thurseer doesn't do anything.
Yeah, she's very good for her allies, along with herself.
So yeah, I mean, I think she's a great unit. I don't have her. I thought about pulling her. I was so tempted to pull her on the spring banner that was recent because they did the rerun. But then I forgot about it. I like procrastinated it and then I didn't pull on her. So it's probably for the best because I need to save for May. That's where all my orbs are going.
I very much considered trying to pull for her as well, but I got a spring fur on my free summon, so I wasn't going to test the game's luck.
Nice.
She was plus speed too, which I really couldn't argue with.
Wow, that's a good pull.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else that you want to say about Spring Idunn?
Yeah, best duo unit in the game, specifically because it has Fae.
All right, well then let's move on to our next unit, and that is Pirate Veronica. That's yours, Conquest.
Yes. So Pirate Veronica is an axe cavalry unit with 35 attack and 19 speed, which is very, very min-maxed towards the attack portion. 35 defense and 29 res is also very solid, especially when considering her weapon, Gate Anchor Axe, which also has a similar to the Deck Swabber effect, except instead of attack and defense, It's defense and res. So she grants defense/res +5 to herself and inflicts defense/res -5 to her foe. And she also makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is very helpful to fix her very lacking speed.
Right.
So her harmonized skill is also very unique because it was the first harmonized skill that gave resonant shields to her allies from Fire Emblem Heroes and Fire Emblem Fates, which grants defense/res +4, similar to Summer Mia, except with the defensive stats, but it also grants them all foe cannot make a follow-up attack during the first combat in player phase or enemy phase, which is also very helpful for someone like Veronica, who struggles a lot against follow-up attacks. So she's a very solid unit. The only thing that I could say would make her better is if her speed was reduced a little bit more and put into her res, because her res is pretty shaky.
So this is a unit that you pulled for very early.
Yes. She was the first banner that I was introduced to when I started.
Wow. And how many orbs did it take? Did it take you a long time to get her, or?
It took me a little while. I think I spent around 120 to get I think it was plus defense minus speed.
Ooh, nice. Good IVs.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about how does she play? How do you like to use her?
I use her mostly as an Omni tank, and also whenever Heroes or Fates is on in Resonant battles. She's also a very, very good Lunge Gale Forcer.
Ooh, nice.
She would definitely be best in class for her type as a bulky axe cavalry, because her only real competition would be someone like Lex, and all he's got over her is more speed, which doesn't matter because he's a brave weapon user, and he also has less res than her, which is a problem when his axe also lowers his res.
Yeah, I've been building a Lex, and I have like a plus attack minus res, and he's only at like level like 35 or something like that, so he's not maxed out. But his res stat it's like 5. Like he has 0 res.
His res is really terrible, especially since he's going to be doubled because his axe also reduces his speed.
Yeah.
So she could be used as a substitute for someone like Elwood on AR defense with a Gale Force build that uses Gale Force, low attack defense, and Heavy Blade in her seal slot, along with her base kit, because you could absolutely use her as somebody who's a replacement for Elwood in case you didn't build him. And you could also use her in, like I said, resonant battles, because has really good movement as a cavalry unit. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think, we gave her, we said she was best in class pretty much, and we gave her another point for uniqueness.
Yeah, because bulky
yeah.
axe cavalry isn't exactly a very common class.
Yeah, well, and at the time that she came out, there was like 0 recent axe calves.
Yeah, who is she competing with? Like Gunther and Titania? Yeah, no, she knocked them out of the park.
Yeah, and even the ones that we just got, like Lex is the good one that we got, but like Plegian Male Chris, Spring Sala, yeah, they're okay. Okay, any other final thoughts on Veronica?
No, I think that's all I have to say about her.
Perfect. Okay, so our next unit is Duo Palla. And this is a unit that is very near and dear to Husky, one of the members of our Discord server. I think his Palla's at +7.
+7, yeah.
Yeah, so he loves Palla. She is a 167 BST Lance Flyer. So a little bit more of a saturated class type. But she's got a lot of cool gadgets. She comes with White Down Spear, which is 19 mount lance, You get auto double if you run her with 2 more flyer allies. She gets impact on initiation, like a mini impact effect. And then if you place her positionally near flying allies, she gets a brave effect on her weapon on initiation. So, yeah, she can really crank out a lot of damage. Husky was telling us right before we recorded the podcast, he was telling us about a delete button build where you have Glimmer, Sturdy Impact, Dive Bomb, Attack Defense Rain, Death Blow, and you you pretty much end up doing like, I don't know, like
100 damage.
yeah, crazy amounts of damage.
And you still get to quad attack, so the chances of them living are very, very slim.
Right. So yeah, her dual skill is a movement skill. So it grants her and adjacent flying allies 1 extra movement. And this is like some of the dual skills, you can use them multiple times, and some of them it's only once per map. This one, it refreshes on odd turns. So the cool thing about her, you can run an odd tempest, and it makes her an unconditional 3 movement flyer, provided that you can get the duo skill off. So that's pretty cool. Something that not a lot of other units can do. So yeah, this is a unit that I pulled for. I was pulling for Sturdy Impact on a double special heroes, and I ended up pulling her. So yeah, I have a +1 duo Palla. Still trying to find a place for her. But yeah, I like her. So would you say that duo Palla is the best in her class? What do you think about that?
So we're comparing her to units like Cordelia and Arenas. And Arenas requires her to be ally supported, which is a pretty big yikes, because that makes her unable to quad attack in modes like ARD.
Right.
And she's also being compared to Cordelia, who just gets free brave effect and can quad using her speed, which is pretty nice, but as speed creep continues to happen, well, I refuse to call it speed creep, more like speed run, because of how fast it's happening. She is going to fall off the speed portion very quickly, which is why having a guaranteed follow-up and brave attack is very, very helpful, which I believe makes Palla much better than her competition.
Right. What's his name? Mori. He has a infested Cordelia that he uses. I see that on my friends list. But yeah. Oh, I forgot to go over her stat spread. She pretty much like has really good attack. She has like, I think she has like 43 attack with the super boon. Don't quote me on that. And then everything else is like kind of middling. I mean, she doesn't need it. But yeah. I said her use case was ARO Gale Force, and that's the build that I have. It was like a Heavy Blade 4 Quicken Pulse build. It's a little bit awkward because you have to hit twice. So it's not a one-tap Gale Force, but it still could work. Yeah, she's a bit restrictive, because you have to run 2 other flyers. The good thing is at least for ether raids, you have mythics that are flying units. So like Naga,
Altina,
like Peony and
Air, yeah.
So that's good. You could run her in arena, I guess, but that's a little harder because flyers don't score as well. So the other flyers on your team, you have to run them. You have to run flyers with her. So it's a bit. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend her as an arena unit. But yeah, great unit. Any thoughts? Any other final thoughts on Palla?
Personally, I think that she's getting better and better because of refines that are coming out, like Scattered Fangs Nino and Bo Noka. who are making fireballs a lot more deadly. Palla just getting more and more attack and debuffing her foe's defense more and more by the support of her allies is making her a lot more solid as a unit.
Yeah, I think flyers have it a little bit hard compared to other units. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have as much good skills. At least she has dive bomb.
Yeah.
So
Are there
um,
any thoughts that you have about Palla?
um, I like her a lot. I invested. I foddered a legendary Dimitri to her to get the Odd Tempest and do that whole thing, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really used her lately.
Oh
um,
Lord.
so yeah, that was
Did
like
you
when
take
I
steady impact too? Please tell me
yeah
that you took the
yeah
impact. Okay,
yeah
good.
she has sturdy impact. Um, but I will find a place for her. I was trying to run her in a lift force team with duo lift, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work. uh, Joel was right about that one, at least for now.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so we're getting close to the end. We got Halloween Tiki. So take this one away, Conquest.
Okay. Halloween Tiki is a unit that I like a lot. I pulled for her and for Halloween Robin back on Dragon's Harvest, and she has not disappointed me in the slightest. Her weapon, well, first of all, her stat line 39 of 42 is an amazing offensive spread. It was one of the best ones released before Dimitri came with 41-41 and got her outshined. Something else about her is the fact that she actually has some pretty solid mixed bulk at 32-25, which makes her a pretty solid unit for tanking, as long as, especially with her perf C skill with everyone. And speaking of her perf C skill, that ties into her weapon called Frostfire Breath, which has every Tiki's breath skill besides the adult ones, where she gets effective against dragons. It's a 19 might breath, and if a bonus is active on her, it gives her flat attack / speed +6, and also grants a bonus to her attack during combat equal to her defense and her res times 1.5 during, and also has the adapted damage of all breath skills. So she is going to be a massive threat if you let her get her buffs off. She also comes with the same resonant blades that Summer Mia had, but she also gets a secondary effect where she is allowed to dance a unit from Mystery of the Emblem, Shadow Dragon, all that, or from Blazing Blade. It's the highest HP ally within 2 spaces, and it gives them another action, which Tiki doesn't count. This duo skill is very, very strong when combined with somebody like Nidjalin, because she is
Right.
also from Blazing Blade. So she's Ninjalin's best friend, essentially. She's a great, like, one of the best units for a Lin Force because of how much flexibility she has with a 2-space dance. So the units that she'd be compared with would be Naga and Lilith. Lilith is like a non-factor because all she does is ally support warp shenanigans. But pretty much everybody already foddered her for joint drive attack. So like,
Ooh.
yeah, her only other real competition on something like air offense would be Naga, and as she's the thing with Naga is, she's a mythic, so she can't benefit from buffs, while Halloween Tiki can. So she's definitely the best in class for Blue Dragon Flyers. She's also very unique with a harmonized dance skill, which was the first of her kind, if I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it was the first one that danced allies, which would
Yes.
definitely put her in B tier. Her main problem is the fact that she's weak to things like panic because of her rather low HP, and she's also weak to getting hit by things like Bright Shrines because of her very high offensive stats.
Yeah. Are you running Tiki in any of your teams?
Yes, I run her in my Astra team in
Nice.
Arity with Lynn.
There you go. That's the
Yeah.
strat.
Mm-hmm. I do wish that I got another one of her because
Uh-huh.
she's minus HP, which I don't like because,
Right.
it makes her vulnerable to panic. So, yeah, what were you going to say?
What kind of build do you run on her?
I run her base kit, except with this encounter. And usually I just run something like defense slash res bond in her S slot. So she's actually got some good bulk. I run noontime as her special so that she doesn't actually like die from not being able to heal. So yeah, is there anything that you want to say about Tiki?
I really underestimated this character. Like when she came out, I was like, whatever. But then like, just like that blade tome breath effect,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where she gets attack based off of her defense and res bonuses. I think that's really good because most of the time, like we don't have low defense res.
Yeah.
So unless you're going up against someone with like a weapon or something that has like an omni dull effect,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you can't always get rid of those bonuses.
She's
Um,
also a surprisingly solid counter against Fallen Julia because she has a dragon effective weapon
oh yeah,
and she has color advantage.
yeah,
So
I
their
forgot
only
about that.
problem is the fact that she's going to be like hitting her res because you can't use adaptive damage because of light and dark.
But yeah, I didn't really have any like I don't have this unit. I don't see this unit a whole lot. Um, I guess. Oh, the other thing that was kind of cool about her, she is like the highest. I think she's the highest BST flyer.
I think
Like
so too. Yeah.
I don't know about Myrrh, Spring Myrrh that just came out. Let me check. Oh, so she's the second. Spring Myrrh power creeps her by 1 BST.
By 1 point. Dang.
But she's great. She's
Yeah.
a really cool unit, and she's a really cute unit. You know?
Agreed. I know people always make fun of the fact that young Tiki has too many alts, but I personally think that this one is really good.
Yeah, definitely. This is the good Tiki ult.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna move on to the last unit in our B tier, and this is Plegian Dorothea. Um, okay. So she's a 152 BST red tome flyer, and she's a dancer. So dancer is great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she's a good unit, but she doesn't. The problem with her is that she doesn't have a preferred dance skill.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. Um,
Her preferred dance skills are harmonized skill.
yeah, true, true. Um, but
Being able to dance from 2 range is definitely very helpful.
yeah, that's like the good part about her. But yeah, so I'll go over her weapon. It's Fell Candelabra. Gives her attack, and then it's an Omni Chill. So it's an Omni Chill tome. So it inflicts chill skill like a -6 on the enemy that has the highest of each stat. Um, so this is like really useful for units that she's a useful support for units that need debuffs on the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So say you're running a broadleaf fan user and you really need those penalties for the attack, or you're
Mm-hmm.
running a Plegian weapon, or you're running Male Morgan, who just recently got refined
Yep.
with that Plegian effect. Um, so I I think it's a good support, but it only has like certain uses. Like you can't just stick her into any team, you know. So yeah, her stat spread. She has a bunch of attack and speed. She has like no defense, middling res, and she really doesn't have very much BST. 152 is not good in 2021.
Yeah. To be fair, she is a ranged dancer who is also not infantry or armored, so it makes sense.
Right. I think the problem with her is that she doesn't. Uh, I don't really like. Besides the range dance, which is really good, she doesn't have like a
Mm-hmm.
huge place. Like, you could run her as a duo hero or a harmonized hero for your ether rate's defense,
Mm-hmm.
but she has like zero defense. So and you can bait her out really easily because she has a sky high attack.
Yeah. Her massive
Because like
attack is definitely a problem. Okay, so I think another thing that comes to her use is the fact that she's flying. I think flying, besides cavalry, and that's only taken by Sigurd, is probably the best class for flyer because they can have things like ground orders, which is an amazing skill if you know how to use it.
right. Yeah, flying is good. Definitely like for movement enabling. Um, so we didn't do the harmonized skill, or you mentioned it earlier. But
Mm-hmm.
it grants resonant shields to unit and allies with this in the same title. So that's the one that prevents foes' follow-up attack in the first phase, in the first combat in player enemy phase. Um, so that's really good. And then you get a dance. So you have a 2 range dance for the ally with the highest HP that's already acted, that's in the same title as Dorothy or Lean, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the other
Lean.
one. So this is super good. So anyone that's doing like a Gale Force strategy with like Legendary Leaf, Legendary Edelgard. These are
Um,
very
yeah, she'd probably work well with Ingrid too.
Ingrid. Like they're very like these 2 titles. I think it's Genealogy and
Three
Three
houses, yeah.
Houses are like have really good units. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we put her as best. I put her as best in class, and that gives her a point. And then her danced harmonized skill that also gives her a point. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
makes her B tier. Um, the unit comparisons. I said she was kind of like dancing Aversa, sort of, or like a better Suri Ishtar.
Yeah.
Um, but there's not very many units like her.
See, the difference with her and Ishtar is the fact that Ishtar is like actually offensively focused because her weapon is, a brave weapon, which can actually
Right.
work to her advantage because in case she does attack somebody instead of dancing, she actually has a very high opportunity to kill.
Right. But what do you think about this unit?
I think she was hyped up too much from when Dark Desert Rituals dropped. I think people thought, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Another dancer who has a dance harmonized slash duo skill." Because we had gotten Peony before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So people thought, "Oh, this unit is going to be busted." But, she's just got 2 normal dances, unlike Peony having 2 gentle dreams, which is just strictly better.
Right. Um, yeah, I have this unit. And I use her with my legendary leaf, and she does well, but I only use her for like PvE stuff, like those super hard like abyssal maps or those like
Mm-hmm.
really dumb chain challenges. Like
Yeah.
that's that's where she gets used. Um, the build I have on here, I put like attack speed catch on her, which is a new like very premium skill that you probably would not give to Dorothy, to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, and Wings of Mercy, of course, Joint Drive Attack, which is also premium. So this is not a build that you should do unless like you just love Dorothy.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Plegian Dorothy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, any final thoughts on the B tier on any of these units? I mean, I don't know. Which one of these is your favorites?
Um, well, I have a lot of bias, so I definitely say that Pirate Veronica is my favorite. But, like, I'd say in general, I'd probably say that Spring Idunn is my favorite.
Uh
Because
huh.
she has one of, like, the most unique duo skills. Well, not anymore now that Myr has, the IOT shield thing. But Idunn grants it to her friends, too, which I think is very
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, I think everything's all in order.
Yeah, I feel like Idunn is like the most like meta unit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have like some guy on my friends list that has a +10 Idunn, which is great, or Spring
Yeah.
Idunn, which is really great for Pawns of Loki. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I see Idunn on the enemy team on Pawns and Loki, it's like, oh gosh, I'm gonna immediately lose because she's so
Yeah.
busted. um, but yeah, that's kind of our tier list. In the future, we also have a couple more episodes planned. We'll have the A tier episode, and then we'll combine the S tier and C tier. So the best and worst we'll save for last.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can close this out unless you have any other final thoughts.
No, I think everything's all good. Well, thank you for having me on here. It's been an honor.
Yeah, it's been great. Me and Conquest have been talking about doing this for a long time. Things got really busy, and we're glad to be contributing to FEHology.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would like to reach out to the show, you can do so at our subreddit of r/FEHology. You can also email the show directly at FEHology@gmail.com. If you would like to chat, you can do so by joining our Discord server. That's where most of the things that are happening is on our Discord. Remember, you can send us your voice messages through Anchor, and it's lots of fun to hear what you have to say. You can do this at anchor.fm/FEHology/message. If you appreciate the show and want to support it, you can do that through Anchor to show your FEHology spirit for as little as $1 a month. I hope that you have a wonderful day and schedule another appointment with your FEHologist real soon.